At my birthday gathering, I presented my fiancée with a present. She unwrapped it before her buddies and declared, "This is precisely why I'm eager to level up." They all chuckled. I simply grinned, extinguished my candle, and abandoned the cake on the table. 7 days later, she arrived at a separate residence. Alright, absorb it. I've been a silent observer for ages, but the past month of my existence has been such an epic catastrophe that I believe I owe the web this tale. The highlight? I was the one steering the locomotive. It all peaked on my 35th birthday. Now, when I mention my birthday, I say it casually. It was officially a festivity for the day I entered the world, but the event itself had minimal connection to me. I had suggested a simple grilled meat meal. My fiancée, Sarah, pushed back with a 50-guest drink soirée at our place. Our place, naturally, being the one I covered the bills for. Her pals, naturally, being the 50 attendees. I conceded that battle, as I frequently did. The week prior to the gathering, she pulled me aside with the grave expression a boss wears before declaring cutbacks. "Darling, we must discuss your birthday present," she stated. I was puzzled. "You purchased something for me?" I hadn't noticed any signs. She giggled, a lovely yet utterly hollow noise. "No, fool, the present you're acquiring for me." I merely gazed at her, anticipating the twist. There was none. "You expect me to purchase a gift for you? On my birthday?" "Precisely," she replied, glad that I was grasping it. "It's not truly for me. It's for us. It's for our image. Tiffany will attend, and you know she'll be broadcasting the entire affair live. I simply desire something sparkly to unveil, to demonstrate to all how incredible you are. I'm no pushover. Let's clear that up immediately. I'm a disaster handler. I operate for a major global aid organization. When there's a quake, a deluge, or a regime downfall, I'm the specialist dispatched to organize the mayhem. I evaluate volatile scenarios. I coordinate supplies in tough settings. And I deliver tough, rational choices when others are freaking out. My whole career revolves around spotting and eliminating risks to an objective. For the last year, my private life has been my assignment's downtime. After an especially grueling tour overseeing relief supplies in a war area, I returned home totally exhausted. I encountered Sarah shortly after. She was stunning, lively, and her main worry was which morning eatery offered the optimal glow for social snaps. It was ideal. Our bond wasn't a fiery endeavor. It was a pressure release valve. I understood her type. She and her circle, headed by the endlessly dissatisfied Tiffany, were a textbook example of endless superficiality. I wasn't building a tomorrow with her. I was studying an alien society while my spirit recharged. I was funding a prime spot for a bizarre, shallow film. So when she requested I buy her a gift for my birthday, I didn't protest. I merely noted it as another observation. "Fine," I responded. "I'll handle it." The evening of the event was precisely as dreadful as I'd envisioned. The residence was packed with folks called Brad and Brittany and Tiffany, all shouting about nonsense. I acted the role of the polite host, beaming and agreeing while my mind was calculating transport routes for an imagined displaced person's site. I hadn't gotten a thing from Sarah. No note, no cheers for the day, zilch. I was merely the financier of the free drinks. Then arrived the highlight. Tiffany, who possesses the hunting skills of a lioness and the brain power of a shallow pool, seized the crowd's focus. "All right, everyone. Time for the spectacle we've anticipated." Sarah's surprise. Sarah glowed, giving me a glare that demanded, this had better impress. I passed her the package. It wasn't the luxury watch she had bookmarked in her tabs. Within was an antique, original printing of the wind in the willows. It was the sole item from my departed mom. It was my most precious possession, not in cash, but in sentiment. I'd had it expertly refurbished. Inside, I'd inscribed, "For every journey we still have ahead." It was an experiment, a last one. I aimed to check if there was depth beneath. She tore it open. Her grin wavered for a split second as she eyed the aged volume. But she was an expert. She lifted it for Tiffany's camera. "Wow, honey," she said, her tone forcing enthusiasm. "A storybook. So considerate." Tiffany focused close, wearing a baffled expression. Then Sarah, buzzed on bubbly and the spotlight from 50 admirers, committed a deadly blunder. She glanced at her crew, released a small chuckle, and uttered the phrase that doomed her. "It's cute, but this is why I'm dying to upgrade." Her pals burst into guffaws. It was the climax to a gag where I was the fool for the past year. In that instant, the task outline in my brain shifted. The relaxation was finished. The setting had become dangerous. The goal was no longer watching. It was withdrawal. I just smiled. I strolled to the lonely, uneaten cake, selected one muffin, and sparked the candle. "Wish away," I said to nobody specific. Then I puffed it out, placed the muffin back, and headed directly to my study, shutting the door. The emergency had begun, and I was now in full mode. Update 1: The initial principle of disaster handling is to protect your resources and set up a secure hub. While the gathering wound down, I was in my study, carrying out a complete tactical retreat. Sarah, I figure, assumed I was sulking. She had no clue I was masterminding a takeover of her whole lifestyle. My key resource was the residence. The agreement was solely in my name, a firm condition from day one. A disaster handler never cosigns in a shaky zone. At 2 a.m., I messaged the property owner. I submitted my 30-day termination, copying my attorney. I notified him I was leaving right away, but the last month's payment was settled. I also noted that the other resident, Sarah, would handle the final inspection and key return. This basic message shifted the entire burden of the residence and the hassle of her to the owner. Next, I locked down my funding streams. I accessed my banking and card portals. Sarah was a secondary user on all. It required under 5 minutes to cancel her entry to a hefty credit line. I redirected all earnings to a fresh, protected account. The support for the Sarah initiative was now severed. I keep a go bag ready constantly. It's a routine from my field. It holds currency, a comms device, document duplicates, and spare attire. I snatched it, plus my professional computer and the volume she had tossed aside. By 4 a.m., I had removed myself from the danger area. I avoided a motel. I headed to a modest, low-key unit I had rented via my firm's name half a year back. A solid handler always maintains a backup site. From this fresh control post, I advanced to the following stage, breaking down the enemy's framework. Sarah's strength wasn't self-built. It was her connections, and the ruler of those was Tiffany. Tiffany was an issue. She was a content creator, aka a career leech. Her life was a meticulously faked illusion, backed by rich folks and various hustles on local shops. I knew because for a year, I had viewed her as a possible threat. I had researched thoroughly. My role has shown me how to spot weaknesses in any setup. Tiffany's main flaw was a fundraiser she hyped. She was collecting for a bogus pet rescue, with a polished site and emotional borrowed images of forlorn pups. It was a standard con. I dedicated the next day to assembling a report. It was a pro-intel summary. It detailed her phony fundraiser, captures of her begging funds, and a money trail I followed showing donations funneled to her private wallet. I added proof of her purchasing masses of bot followers and the return scam she ran with Sarah on my cards. I avoided public posting. A broad assault is chaotic. A precise hit is effective. I dispatched the report from a hidden secure email to 3 key recipients. A probe journalist at a nearby station focused on digital frauds, the tax authority's nonprofit scam unit, and Tiffany's dad. With the main threat disabled, I targeted her backup allies. Her other companions. One, named Madison, held an entry-level spot at a big finance firm. Such a position demands strict vetting and strong ethics. I scanned her open profiles quickly. It was a goldmine of shots make from events, obviously buzzed and boasting about crazy nights. I gathered a compact set of these open posts and forwarded anonymously to her company's ethics chief with a brief line. Is this the reputation your firm wants? The last element was Sarah's backup strategy. A guy called Richard. He was a loaded, freshly single exec she had been prepping. I didn't assault him. I just made Sarah appear as a major hazard. I knew Richard was in a nasty split. I merely emailed anonymously to his split attorney's firm with a link to Tiffany's stream of the event, zeroing on Sarah's upgrade remark. I attached a note. Figured this could pertain to your client's fresh ties. By the time Sarah rose on what she likely saw as a normal weekend, her universe was primed to implode. Her cards were worthless. Her home was a countdown. Her top pal was facing probes for deceit. And her bailout was blocked. The first message from her hit at 11:32 a.m. Hi, where are you? And why did my card fail at the cafe? I was far off, sipping my brew, monitoring my plans unfold. I ignored it. You don't negotiate with a disaster. You direct it. Update 2. The initial blasts were all I schemed for. And beyond. The expose on Tiffany's phony pup fundraiser aired days later. It was savage. The journalist I alerted nailed the scam in full detail. Tiffany's identity and pic were plastered everywhere. The tax folks started a swift probe. Her father, who prized family honor most, fully cut her off. Tiffany's creator path wasn't ended. It was obliterated. Her response was to lash at Sarah instantly. Their chats, which I could still view briefly, were a lesson in backstabbing. Tiffany pinned it all on Sarah, for introducing me, for the cards used in the hustle. She vowed to rat Sarah out to officials for leniency. The web of phony bonds crumbled into a brawl. Amid this, Sarah endured her nightmare. The owner delivered eviction docs. She had to either secure the $5,000 monthly rent solo impossible or vacate soon. Her desperate calls to me were silenced. The rest of her group was chaos too. Madison, the banker, got hauled to HR urgently. She kept her job, but on tight watch and no public roles. The others, witnessing the wreck, fled like bugs in light. They avoided Sarah and the mess. The coffin nail was Richard. His attorney, with the video of Sarah's quip, surely portrayed Richard as impulsive with gold diggers. I picture the talk he got. He didn't fade on Sarah. He banned her everywhere and allegedly called her a catastrophe that could ruin a metropolis to a shared contact. In 1 week, Sarah dropped from social royalty to total pariah. She lacked funds, housing, allies, and options. She was isolated, trapped in a ruin I crafted with icy, expert accuracy. She sparked a crisis with one reckless line. I merely directed it to its end. Final update: it's been a month post-party. For weeks, total quiet. I resumed normalcy, relishing the calm in my fresh, safe unit. I hit workouts. I caught work. I reread my mom's book. It was a reset for my core. Then last week she appeared. Not at my new spot. At my workplace. She lingered in the entrance for hours till I descended end of day. She seemed shattered. The cockiness vanished. The fancy outfits looked tired. She was a displaced person from her self-made ruin. She started the expected plea. She regretted. She aired badly. She felt unsure, and her crowd poisoned her. She cared for me. She craved a redo. I allowed her to complete. I stayed silent. When she ran dry, I eyed her. You miss it, huh? I said, calm but steady. You figure this was about hurt feelings. You believe I orchestrated because I was upset. She gawked, tears flowing. This wasn't rage, Sarah, I went on. This was threat evaluation. My role is entering wild, shaky spots and calming them. I pinpoint the core unrest and I eliminate it. For a year, my home life was my riskiest area, and you were the main disruptor. I showed her my device with a photo. It was an aerial view of a calamity site I handled years back, a village wrecked by landslide. This is my work, I explained. I don't rage at the slide. I construct safer homes elsewhere. I pocketed it. Your party line wasn't a jab. It was a danger signal. It was when I saw the setup untenable. You, Tiffany, your whole crew, you were the slide, a creeping havoc eroding all. So I didn't storm out mad, I said, staring deep. I performed my duty. I handled the crisis. I rescued the vital resource, myself. I halted the fuel to the unrest, my funds, and I demolished the enemy setup, worsening it, your pals, and your lame backup. It wasn't a split, Sarah. It was a calculated asset shift to stable ground. The terrifying realization hit her. She wasn't ditched by a partner. She was expertly managed by a guy viewing her as a mere issue. But what now for me? She murmured. I have zero. Wrong, I replied, stepping off. You gained a tough lesson. You discovered some aren't pit stops to better. Some control the path. And yours looped you to start. I left her on the pavement outside work. Word is she relocated to parents. She's brewing coffee for pay. Tiffany battles legal heaps. The toxic group vanished. The whole poisonous setup erased. My payback wasn't hot-blooded. It was chilled, firm expertise. She saw a popularity contest. She missed I played endurance. And in mine, I dominate the field. Always.